Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way YouTube channel. My name is Ryan McGinlay, and today I'm delighted to be joined in the morning briefing by Tony Haggerty at ahaggerty10 on the X handle. Tony, how are you doing this morning? It's Champions League day. You excited?
It's here. It's arrived. Doesn't matter what squad we've got. Doesn't matter how much money we've got or we've not got. It's here. It's arrived. We go in. We give it a rip. Let's see where it takes us, Ryan. Come on.
Yeah, you're definitely more up for it than I am, and I was pretty excited about it this morning. But you're even more so. Just before we get into today's discussion, it's going to be a bit of a shorter episode because we're going to be live quite a few times today, I would assume. But if you subscribe to the Celtic Way YouTube website and YouTube, you'll be supporting top quality football journalism covering the club you love. Visit www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe and press subscribe just down at the bottom of the screen there. It will really help us and support us further, and it makes us a bigger channel in the process with a bigger community and a bigger comment section as well. Today we have got a piece from Tony. Tony, you were speaking to one of Celtic's memorable names, maybe not memorable for all the best reasons. You're speaking to Derk Boerrigter about Feyenoord and how he believes that Celtic could get a result against them. First of all, how did that go?
You know what? I mean, he might not, as you say, be remembered for being the best player at Celtic, but he's a cracking guy to deal with, and he's always been fair with myself. And he freely admits himself that the Celtic supporters never got to see the best of him because it was just through injury and various other things. I did a big interview with him, excuse me, as well, and he spoke all about that. And he spoke about how his time at Celtic was really, really disappointing. But as a person, he's top notch. He's cracking it. He doesn't shy away from that spell at Celtic was disappointing. 3 years, and I think he only played something like 550 odd minutes at Celtic in 3 years. Not great, but again, he's very. He reflects on that time and says he wishes that it would have been a hell of a lot better, but it wasn't. But yeah, he's not writing Celtic off at all. Still a big Celtic fan, and I think part of it as well that he's a big Ajax man as well. So
Yeah,
I think he's kind of that's kind of rivalry there as well, isn't it? But he nailed his calls to the mass and said he'd be certainly supporting Celtic, and he pinpointed Celtic's Japanese contingent as the key to getting something in Holland tonight. And he said he liked the look of Hatate and Daizenmaida and Kyogo Furuhashi, and he's been following them since they signed for the club. So he's still well versed in Celtic and well clued up. And whilst he said that Feyenoord have players that can score goals and have scored a few goals recently, he said that Celtic have equally got players that can hurt Feyenoord too. So he predicted 2 weeks, Ryan. The piece is on the website, guys, if you want to have a read at that. But he predicted 2 weeks because he thinks that both sides will go for it and score goals. So, he's still hoping and praying for a Celtic win.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it does help the fact that he's a big Ajax fan. I think anybody that's played for Ajax and has a sort of rivalry with Feyenoord is going to be supporting Celtic tonight. That's just the way the rivalries works in Scotland, and I think it works in the Netherlands just the same. So yeah, it's good that we've got another supporter. It's not often that Celtic will be supported by Ajax, but that will certainly be the case tonight, which is quite an interesting dynamic.
There's the link to it in the comment section, guys. Whatever, I read that the interview there, but yeah. Not the greatest player to play for Celtic ever, but a decent fella, and he's good to the Celtic. He always gives us his time, so we appreciate that.
No, I thought his first 20 minutes, half an hour of his debut, I thought Celtic were onto something special. I think it was against Ross County, I believe, and he came off injured.
Yeah, he came off injured in that game, yeah.
That would be the start of an all too familiar feeling for Derk Boerrigter. We did get told before he joined the club that he was he picked up a couple of injuries in his time at Ajax and, before then, and that certainly happened at Celtic as well. But, we wish him all the best, and hopefully he's right and Celtic do get a result tonight. We're just under 10 hours away from Celtic kicking off at the Keep in their opening game of the Champions League. What's the feeling like? I know you were feeling quite optimistic at the start. You've been optimistic all throughout the week. We did our predicted lineups before it looks as if we might be a bit off with regard to Nat Phillips, because it looks as if he won't make it due to injury, or at least that's what Brendan Rodgers was sort of alluding to in his pre-match presser. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. You're just hoping that Celtic can go out and make a good account of themselves, and then if a result happens, then so be it.
Yeah, I think they just have to go in there and be as confident as they can be. I mean, we don't know too much about Feyenoord per se. We know they've been banging in the goals the last couple of games. We know Arne Slot plays allegedly total football, but yeah, I mean, that I don't think it's a name to fear, is it? It's not a Real Madrid. It's not Barcelona. It's not Manchester City. I'm not going there with any trepidation at all. I want Celtic to put their wits against these teams and see how good they are, and have a go at it, Ryan. And if they're going to go down fighting. But I don't know, and it's not blind faith and blind optimism. I sort of see Celtic as a kind of steady work in progress, and they're getting better under Rodgers. You can see it. The eye test tells you that. And you just need everybody to bring their A game tonight. Everybody to do their job, especially the defence, regardless of who that is. It's a blow that Nat Phillips might not make it. But if it's Liam Scales, you trust Liam Scales? The manager's given him that trust, and he's bigged them up. And you get these guys. I've said it before. Puff your chest out. This is why you're a footballer. You want these nights. You want to play in that stage. Go and show why. And if guys like Hatate are seeing it as a shop window, then go and prove that you can get a big move on that stage to a bigger and so-called better club if that's what you're seeking. This is your time then. Go and do it. And as we've rightfully pointed out, Celtic got 2 points from 18 last year. They got a lot of plaudits for a lot of things that they did during matches. I want to see that those same players who played last season have learned. So when chances come along, we take them. Hence the name of the title of the briefing today. So I'm wanting Kyogo to be sharper and clinical. I want Maeda to be sharper and clinical. I want, if Lewis Palmer plays and we get a free kick the same as Saturday, I want him to take it. I want him to show this dead ball specialist and expertise that he has. I just want things to fall into place, and I trust the manager to put the team out to endeavour to do that, Ryan. It's no guarantee of a win, but everybody's saying how great this Feyenoord team are. We'll find out, won't we? I think they're underestimating Celtic a fair bit, and I think I still think there's reasonable cause for optimism in that Celtic can get something. Now, come back to me at 10 o'clock tonight and I might feel completely and utterly bereft and in a different, and talking about the game in a different manner. But I'm always confident about Celtic going in to play teams regardless of who they are, certainly beforehand. And I've not seen anything from Feyenoord that worries me greatly.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the worries is currently suspended in Jimenez for Feyenoord. But yeah, they are going through a bit of a strikers crisis. They don't really know who's going to play up front. It's probably going to be a winger. It might be akin to if Celtic were to play Abada up front, who still would bring an attacking threat, but it's not the same as playing an out-and-out striker who's played there basically his whole career or his whole professional career. It's an adjustment that Arne Slot's going to have to make. Celtic have got, I don't want to say makeshift defenders, but the first choice defenders aren't available, and Feyenoord's first choice attackers aren't available. So, it's going to be an interesting dynamic in that battle, because the two are very clearly going to come up against each other, and it's all about who can come out on top in that battle of the, I don't want to say battle of the subs, but battle of the, not the B team either. I'm trying to think of the right word to say, but you know what I mean? The replacements almost. So we'll see who'll come out on top on those two. Just in terms of the title of today's video, will Kyogo break his Champions League duck tonight? He could have did that. He could have done that last season. Obviously against Shakhtar Donetsk, he chose not to touch the ball into the back of the net in case it was offside. Do you think that Kyogo will break his duck tonight? I'm just going to make it as plain and simple. Do you think he will break his duck tonight?
I'll make it plain and simple and say yes. Because I think this is a man on fire. His confidence must be sky high. Wonderful goal at Ibrox, wonderful goal at Pittodrie, a textbook header on Saturday, and I can't re-emphasise enough how much Callum McGregor's vision to pick him out is just utterly sublime. That's the kind of thing you'll need tonight. Every player switched on, seen the game in pictures. I talk about that a lot, like Sir Matt O'Reilly and McGregor doing that kind of thing, and Kyogo making those runs on the shoulder of the last defender, just peeling away, and that's what will get him to break his duck tonight, Ryan. That quick thinking, being alert, and it's at nights like tonight that you need to see it, and that separates kind of doing it on the domestic front and doing it in the biggest club stage possible. And I think Kyogo will be bursting to do that, and he'll also be told, I think, by Brendan Rodgers, you've been at this stage before, you know what's required. You just need to be fully focused and get your eye in. And if a chance comes along, it has to be stuck away. Because fine well if it happens at the other end of the pitch, Feyenoord will take it. So I'm pretty confident that Kyogo will score tonight for Celtic. I just there's something about him at this moment in time. He's just at the top of his game and he's influencing others as well. And I'll say yes to that, Ryan. The initial question, can he break his duck tonight? My initial reaction is yes. I'm going to say yeah. So you're hoping that happens. What about you? Do you think you can do it?
I've got a funny feeling, yeah. I just looked back to the last time he played in Holland was against AZ Alkmaar, and he scored a goal there as well. That counter-attacking goal, I think it was, a minute or so in to the game. And he scored. Well, actually, he scored at home as well against AZ Alkmaar as well. I think Leila Bada was very much involved in that goal too. He'll be a miss tonight, especially on the counter-attack. He's a one-man. Seems as if he's a one-man fast break at times. You pass him the ball and he'll go the 40, 50 yards up the park. You need an out ball in these games. You're just hoping that whoever plays tonight, whether that be, it will be Maeda and somebody else. Maeda's an absolute certainty to start due to his defensive abilities. But between Yang or Palmer, you're hoping that they can be an out ball and take the ball with them and get opportunities, whether that be in a set piece by winning a free kick or by taking a shot or by making their way into the box and getting an easier shot on goal. Out of those two, I know we did the predicted lineups, which is available on the website. We both went for Luis Palma. A lot of people in the comments and that were saying that Yang will probably start because Maeda will play on the left hand side. What's your opinion on that? Do you think it's still going to be Palma on the left hand side, Maeda on the right, or do you think it'll be Maeda on the left and Yang on the right?
I think Maeda will switch. I think Palma will play. I think if you've got somebody who can score a free kick, Ryan, and is a dead ball specialist, then you have to play to those kind of strengths. Forward players are going to be important tonight, and you're going to try and win territory, and as you say, win free kicks. And I think if you have a potent weapon like Palma on the park who can score from those situations, then I think it would be wise to play him. And I think he did okay when he came on Saturday, got minutes into the legs, and I think these guys will be entrusted with that kind of remit tonight that forward players are going to have to make. They're going to have to make the ball stick. It can't keep constantly coming back to your defence, because I think if there's an area of the park that worries Celtic supporters, it's the defence, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
There's no shying away from that. So your forward players are going to be pivotal tonight. All of them. That Maeda doing that defensive stuff, but also, taking the ball a walk when you do have it. You can't be wasteful in possession. You can't be giving away cheap possession. But the forwards are so important to what you're doing tonight. Obviously, we want them to score goals, and we are hoping that Kyogo can break his duck. So, but guys like Maeda and Palma, we're asking them to step up to the plate as well. I've no problems with Maeda defensively, and he'll run all night. I just like him to be a wee bit more solid in his decision making, Ryan, because it can be erratic. Crosses into the box and just his final delivery. And people might think that's nitpicking, but you can see it sometimes. His crossing's very wayward, isn't it? He can shunt it out the park and stuff like that, and you just need him to be fully focused. And I'm sure the manager will be telling them how vitally important they are tonight and to how Celtic play, because you want the ball to be as far away from your defence as possible, because it is going to be stretched and it is going to be tested to the fullest tonight. And yeah, there'll be hairy moments, as there always is when Celtic play away from home. But I've been very impressed with Joe Hart recently. He's been stepping up to the plate, so we're asking him to be a big performer again. He had a great match at Ibrox against Rangers. So if players like that can rise to the occasion, and they know what's involved now, can it be any harder than going to the Bernabeu? Can it, Santiago Bernabeu, and playing? So the caliber of opposition just changes. That's all. But they know what this competition's all about. They know how hard it's going to be. And yeah, they'll be. But I want Celtic to be fiercely competitive as well. So there's no reason why in this group I don't think they won't be and can't be. So yeah, but I would say worry about ourselves and doing
Yeah.
our own jobs first and foremost to the best of your ability. And it's the old kind of winning your individual battles, but you know just playing with a cool head and common sense, and that might be easier said than done, but they're going to have to if they want to, produce something tonight. And yeah, it's again the kind of makeshift nature of the defence worries you, but I think from middle to front, that six in particular, whoever they are and whatever permutation that is and whatever they're vitally important to what we do tonight.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. You just wonder if it would have been a good fit tonight for one of the defensive midfielders to come in, such as Iwata. That extra bit of stability. But that we don't know what's going on with Iwata at the moment. He's just not getting quoted. He's hardly even making benches. Never mind getting any game time. So it's one of those ones. Just Brendan Rodgers was talking yesterday in his pre-match press conference, and he was talking about how strong the group was. So he was saying that this is what he was saying in his press conference. He said, playing any team at this level is obviously very difficult. Feyenoord, being Dutch champions, they have a great history in this country of producing teams and players. We know the challenge, but we're looking forward to it. It's the first game of 6. Let's see where it takes us. Success for us is to be in Europe after Christmas. That's what our aim is. Whatever competition that is in, that is our aim. But anything is possible, and we want to be competitive in all the games. Yeah, it's Brendan Rodgers' first Champions League game back. I'm trying to think the last Champions League game that he would have been involved in. It would have been in the group with Bayern Munich, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it has been a while since he's been in the Champions League. Obviously, he's had European experience. He's been in the Conference League, etc. with Leicester. He's played in the Premier League, which is almost like, or managed in the Premier League, which is almost like coming up against a Champions League side every 2-3 weeks, you could say. You're hoping that experience, that further experience being away from Celtic, maybe playing a different style, having to set up a different way, will help him, especially in a game like this where Celtic aren't going to have the majority of the ball, you would assume. So yeah, are you just hoping that Brendan Rodgers has adapted a bit from what he was like the first time? I know he can tinker within games and he did that really well domestically, but are you hoping to see that in a European sense as well?
I'm hoping this is where the manager comes into his own, Ryan. Yeah, people say they're better than they were since they left. Well, I hope he is. He has to be a more knowledgeable manager because you never stop learning as a football manager. So I'm looking forward actually to seeing how Celtic line up and how they approach this. And if they lose, I'm not going to jump up and down and go mental and blame the manager and say, right, that's it. But I think he's constantly evolving as a manager, Brendan Rodgers. So we'll see tonight. We'll get a good, clearer picture tonight. How much he's evolved in terms of being a better manager. So Brendan Rodgers himself said he was a better manager, didn't he? I think when he was unveiled, but he certainly alluded to that. So I'm hoping that is the case. I bigged him up all week before Celtic went to Ibrox because I said that this is his stage, this is his platform, and again, He didn't exactly cover himself in major glory on this staging platform with Celtic the first time round. So I think that's something he'll be well aware of, and he might be even more pragmatic tonight. But I'm certainly expecting to see Celtic improved under Brendan Rodgers in the Champions League this time around. I don't think we'll see anything like the scores that they had the last time. I certainly hope not. We know the ones that I'm talking about, so
Yep.
Don't want to go over that old ground. But I just think this is a game that it falls into the doable category for Celtic in terms of, but they need a lot to go their way. They need every player to be at it and on it, and they need the forwards, as I said earlier, to really take the game to Feyenoord. They need the defence to be rock solid, and they just need to. They need to play their way into proceedings. I think you spoke about the concession of an early goal, and that's been Celtic's Achilles heel in Europe a lot, and also losing goals in clusters. That when they lose one, like buses, 2 and 3 come along at the one time and they end up capitulating. So I just want to see Celtic not do anything like that in an away game in Europe and actually maybe take it to the opposition. And as I say, Feyenoord, yep, decent side, decent European pedigree, but so are Celtic. Celtic a decent European pedigree as well. So I look at Feyenoord and they just don't frighten me. Might frighten me come 10 o'clock tonight and say, wow. But, I say it's doable in the sense that I think they're all. Derk Boerrigter said to me yesterday he thinks that all these teams are kind of evenly matched in terms of he can't pick one over the other, and he reckons it will be really cutthroat and they'll take points off each other. I think that'll start tonight, and I think home form's going to be crucial. It really is, and Celtic have known to their cost about not taking anything on their travels. The very first Champions League group stage Celtic ever faced, they won all their home games. One of the few teams to exit the competition on 9 points, and it was that last-minute Amoroso penalty in Stadio delle Alpi against Juventus in the very first game that cost them dearly. They were on course for a draw, and they would have had 10, and they would have gone through. So, I think that these are lessons that you learn moving forward. That it's vital to take something on the road. Absolutely vital. And I look at this game tonight, and I'm thinking, why not?
Yeah, why not? That these terrible records for Celtic away from home in Europe, they're there to be broken. And why not start tonight? Why not throw a real spanner in the works in this group stage? As we've spoke about at length probably over the past couple of weeks since the draw was made, these teams are going to take points off each other. So it's all about Celtic keeping themselves right, keeping their home form good. I don't know what we would really be expecting. Maybe 7 points would be great from. If you're looking to qualify for the last 16, you'll probably need 7 points out of 9 in your group, and maybe a couple of points away from home. But your home form is going to be so important. If you can get 2 wins against Feyenoord and Lazio, maybe a draw with Atletico Madrid, then I think Celtic will be in a great shape. But it doesn't always work out like that. You can get a home game where Celtic really struggle, and then an away game where they do well. These things. It's just the joy of the group stage. And I don't know about you, but I mean, there are some bits of me that will miss the group stage when it does go next season, because it is quite exciting that 4 teams fighting it out against each other to get 2 spots. Obviously, you've got the 3rd place spot as well. It's the very last time this is going to happen in terms of a group stage. After this season, the Swiss model comes in, not just for the Champions League, but for the Europa League and Conference League. They're all leagues now. They all put they've all had the league in it before, but now they literally are league tables of 3 big league tables of European teams. So, what's your opinion on the group? The group sort of format? Are you sad to see it go, or are you looking forward to a new format coming into play?
I think it kind of needed freshened up a wee bit. I don't know if the new kind of 8 games is the answer. We'll find out next season, won't we? But I think it's been the group stage format has been around for a long, long time, hasn't it? So I think in terms of that, it needed some kind of revamp, some kind of jig up, but it's still slanted towards the bigger teams, isn't it, Ryan?
Absolutely.
They're doing their level best to make sure that there are no Cinderella stories in the Champions League ever again, which is a bugbear of mine. You know, it's you can still pick the Champions League winners or those who'll be there and thereabouts, can't you? Most seasons. So
Yeah,
you
I mean,
you're never
I think it was Man City for the past 5 seasons, but that never transpired. That was just the joy and the beauty of the Champions League, especially when you get into the knockout stages. It's always exciting to see how that transpires, but it doesn't always work out that the favourites win the competition. I know Real Madrid have won it a lot more than everyone else, but there's some season even they were the underdogs and they still got the trophy. Yeah, it's very interesting. I thought we would just touch on quickly before we finish up. We need to talk about the finances. I think those results that came out yesterday. I got a little bit of traction on my tweet that I put out yesterday regarding figures can't play in left back or goalkeeping position. Now I've got to caveat that by saying I think Joe Hart has been absolutely brilliant over the past 3 weeks or so, but he's not the long term answer, and I think you'd agree with me in that. That still needs remedied in terms of the long term. But yeah, at left back, there probably needs to be a change as well with Greg Taylor and Alexandro Bernabei. But just the numbers before we talk about it. So this was an article that was on the Celtic Way by Aidan. He said Celtic have confirmed a record-breaking pre-tax profit of 40.7 million in their latest set of financial results. Group revenues increased by over 35% to 119.9 million from 88.2 million. There's various increases, acquisition of player registrations of 13 million. It's very financially heavy and number heavy, but basically the crux of the matter is Celtic are well off financially from where they are and where they position themselves in European football. They're in a really healthy place despite the league that they play in. And yeah, they're in a really, really good place financially. And I think I don't know about you, Tony, but I get a mixed sort of feeling towards this because yes, it's good that Celtic are financially well off, but you think that they could maybe push the ball out just a tad more.
There's two ways of looking at it, right? One, the model clearly works, okay, and it pleases everybody upstairs, the board, and it's nice to see figures like that in the club on a sound financial footing. And it could be even more if they had a decent TV deal, which is another argument altogether, right? But all these clubs that the likes of Feyenoord and clubs like that they're playing tonight, they're all flourishing on the back of wonderful TV deals. So Celtic really do get shafted on that. I include other clubs in that in Scotland on the TV deals. So they miss out on that. So they have to find other ways of generating some wonderful income. But going back to your tweet last night, and I think lots of Celtic supporters are looking at that and thinking, players, not pounds, isn't it? With points and prizes, that kind of thing. We could have done with a couple of more players. And, and I get why Celtic are doing this. It's the whole rainy day stuff, isn't it? For the time when they don't qualify for the Champions League and that multi-millions doesn't come in to your coffers, then you have to sell one of your assets. But also, I think you have to understand too that if Celtic are wanting to keep their prize assets for 2 and 3 years, these things cost money. So there's a balancing act there, isn't there? And yep, you can jump up and down and scream and say we needed this. I think in terms of the left back, they could have got a left back in. Okay, goalkeeper, I'm okay with just now because I think Joe Hart's
He's
done
playing well.
fantastically well since the start of the season. You have to big him up for that. And considering he's well aware of the mood music because he spoke about it himself. And so I'll big up Joe Hart in that sense. But I think our left back was the one that disappointed people in that transfer window. And when you look at those figures, they think, was it beyond Celtic's financial reach to bring in a left back? No, clearly it wasn't. And that's not, those figures are notwithstanding the Jota and Starfelt monies, isn't it? Is that right? I'm
Yeah,
led to
that's
believe.
before.
Yeah, so so they're even more affluent and financially and root health, and I love to see that. but you have what you do have is a well-run organisation and ship, and people are happy at the top of the club, and I think in terms of January, then if it isn't working out in terms of still being at the top of the table or your lead not stretched as much as you want, then I think Brendan Rodgers would be perfectly entitled to say, I need this, this, and this in January. So, and you couldn't very well turn around and say, well, actually, we can't afford that, can they? Well, but you wouldn't put it past the Celtic board because they have forum for these kind of things. So, whilst those figures are fantastic, I think lots of supporters were just disappointed that certain positions were not filled in that window there. And but I caveat that by saying, in order to keep the likes of Kyogo there, Hatate and O'Reilly, if these guys do sign, McGregor signed a new deal as well, Maeda signed a new deal. So in order to keep these guys there, then you have to that balancing act with increasing their wages and giving them more money. Lila Bada as well, players like that. So I guess you can't have it both ways, is what I'm saying. But I still think there's a better balancing act to be had from Celtic, from those upstairs, and in terms of the financial outlay. When I see those figures, I do think that they should have signed a left back in the window rang. It's been a problem position for a while, and I see no reason why. And I don't think anybody from upstairs could explain that away, could they? But what can be explained away is the fact that Celtic are a slick, well-run, finely tuned, oiled machine off the park, and their house is well in order. And might not please everybody, but it pleases some of the people at the top of the club. But I think as I go back to players, not pounds, I think most fans would say, wouldn't they? That's just a way of looking at it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think everybody's quite happy with the way that the club is run in a business sense. You know, it's clearly a very, very successful business model. It's just maybe that sometimes doesn't translate into being a superior team on the pitch. You know, maybe they sort of gamble with certain players. They gamble in certain positions, which, you know, I get that football is a gamble, is a game as well. You know, you've got maybe that's why Brendan Rodgers is back, because he wants to spend more money in that position, in the managerial position, because he can get better. He can get the best out of players rather than bringing in maybe an unknown manager with better players. It's one of those ones. I think if you can get a fine balance between a great manager and some really good players, then Celtic will be in a really good spot. It's only one transfer window. You know, Brendan Rodgers said that he's going to be here for at least, 6 transfer windows, you know. So 1 out of 6 isn't too bad at this point.
He said he would be here till he get emptied. He's here for 3 years unless he gets emptied, was his phrase, wasn't it? So, but I think, like you, I look at Celtic, they've gone to Ibrox and they've won with a makeshift side, haven't they? And a side that played very, very well. And you saw the real green shoots of recovery. And you think that when this team improves and hits its optimal point, then they will be hard to stop and they are proven hard to beat. You know, Kilmarnock and St Johnstone games aside, where they just didn't perform or turn up. But there seems to be, you spoke about Brendan Rodgers mentioning the togetherness there in the squad, and you know the good group. I think that's down to the manager, and I think he'll know moving forward that if left back is a position that he wants to fill in, maybe looking at that in January again, they'll maybe decide that that's something that they want to do. And it is one window, and I think he's assessed everything, and you know there's much room for improvement in Celtic. They will bring in more players in January as well. But I think tonight will be, and over the course of the next 6 games in the group stage, will be the biggest gauge for Celtic to where they are as a club at this moment in time under Brendan Rodgers, and where they maybe want to go with Brendan Rodgers, assuming that he's still here for 3 years and he doesn't get emptied.
Yeah, fingers crossed he doesn't get emptied, and the trophy room doesn't get emptied as well.
Well,
There's plenty
that
of trophies too. I think we'll call it a day there just now because we're at 35 minutes and we're going to be on both pre and post match, I would assume as well, because we want to keep some of our topics. We'll have plenty to talk about when the team comes out. Hopefully, it's a strong team. We assume it will be. We presume it will be a strong team, but we'll definitely talk about it as well as a preview of the game at hand. Before we finish off, guys, once again, if you subscribe to the Celtic Way website, you'll be supporting top quality football journalism covering the club you love. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Also, if you subscribe to the YouTube channel, which has seen a growth recently, if you subscribe to that, you'll get notifications on when we go live with pre-recorded videos and with live streams as well. On the website, we're currently running £4 for 4 months. That'll be you sorted until the new year. Get scouting pieces, analysis pieces, big interviews from Tony, instant analysis from Tony and I, and analytics pieces from Duco James and Alan Morrison as well. So whatever tickles your fancy, basically, it should be on the Celtic Way with regard to Celtic journalism. So if you are interested, then please join us. It really does help us. Tony, thank you very much for joining me this morning.
Pleasure
I know it's
as
a bit of
always.
a short one, but it's always good fun.
I think it's the first of a trilogy, isn't it? Because we'll be doing pre and post match recordings as well. So, guys, I'll put it in the comment section there. Make sure to tune in for them. We'll discuss the 11 that Rodgers puts out on the pitch tonight, and then we'll discuss the result. It's what we do.
That's it. We're trying to up the content, especially on the YouTube channel, because we know that people are enjoying it at the moment. We've got loads of different. We've got a Feyenoord preview on there already with a Feyenoord fan. The briefing yesterday had a Dutch supporter on there as well. So if you want to look at what the Dutch are thinking with regards to the game, spoiler alert, they're confident. Then please check out those videos. We've also got the top 5 moments with Tino from the Celtic Exchange still on the channel. If you click the videos section of the YouTube channel, then you'll be able to find that. It is a good discussion. Talk about Seville. We talk about the 3-0 game against Rangers a couple of years ago. Plenty of exciting moments, plenty of good memories. So if you are interested, then please check it out. Tony, thank you very much for joining me. We'll be back around about 7 o'clock tonight to discuss the team.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for joining us. We really do appreciate all your comments, and we will see you later on tonight. Cheers, guys.